I've been a Sega fan for a very long time. I've been around for every console of theirs since the Master System, and indulged in countless incredible arcade titles since the early 1980s. I felt the raw excitement and jubilation of getting that Sega game I just knew was gonna knock my socks off. And I felt the pride in boldly announcing to the world that yes, I preferred Sega's games over everyone else's. But this road has been full of letdowns and disappointments that were equally as powerful. I watched Sega burn my beloved Saturn to the ground with mistake after mistake during its retail run. I've witnessed grand ideas relegated to the heap of forgotten wares countless times since. Whether it was Sega Forever, Sega Ages for the Nintendo Switch, or yet another Genesis compilation, I have hung my head low as the misery of seeing the same mistakes being made again and again eviscerated my good faith. On December 7th, 2023, I opened my social media accounts to see numerous messages about a new announcement from Sega about continuing some of their most popular classic franchises. I read the comments on a bunch of websites and could feel the joy and elation being shared by so many. Christmas had come early, and it had come with an exhilaration many Sega fans had not felt in years. In this episode, we will go over that announcement, discuss what it could mean for the future, and see if there is anything to really be excited over. It's Sega's new era, new energy, power the next level. First, let's take a quick look at the games that were announced during the trailer. Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, Streets of Rage, Shinobi, and Golden Axe all made brief showings in the Power the Next Level trailer that was shown off during the 2023 Video Game Awards. This is an interesting list because, not counting ports and portables, it's been years since most of these games have seen any form of AAA development. The last big Crazy Taxi entry was on the original Xbox, Jet Set Radio was the Dreamcast, Golden Axe was PS3 and 360, Shinobi was PS2. Streets of Rage is really the only game series that has seen any real TLC in recent years. That made the emergence of this trailer all the more shocking. The first game on display was Jet Set Radio, which has that same cel-shaded look on the characters and a ton more detail than we've ever seen in the series before. Much of the gameplay appears faithful to previous entries. This jumps quickly to a few scenes of the new Streets of Rage, which has what appears to be a fully 3D environment to battle in. Combos and grappling play out quickly to show you some of the gameplay. This again moves right along and gives way to a side-scrolling Shinobi game that looks as if the art is heavily inspired by titles like Okami. Judging from what appears to be the level exits, this one may have some Metroidvania elements at play. Next up was Golden Axe, which, like Streets of Rage, has a fully 3D play area to move around in. You don't get much, but Gilius is riding an animal, and we get a quick view of what appears to be Tyrus letting loose some magic while both Axe Battler and Gilius are in tow. Looks like this one will be a 3-player co-op adventure. The largest portion of the trailer was dedicated to Crazy Taxi, which appears to have been injected with some Need for Speed racing traits since its Dreamcast and Xbox days. There are clearly multiple taxis racing down the road, and the gameplay seems to be quite fast and heavily focused on drifting. At the end of the trailer, it puts up a graphic that says the name of the games that were shown and more in development. That "and more" is interesting because Sega has apparently been filing new trademarks for the likes of Altered Beast, Kid Chameleon, Eternal Champions, Alex Kidd, Afterburner, Outrun, House of the Dead, and Super Monkey Ball. I don't know if all that is in development, but it looks like Sega is about to drop a slew of new gaming updates for their classic franchises. As I mentioned before, since this announcement I have received a number of questions about how I feel about it. The best answer I can give you is that I'm trying to look at it with guarded enthusiasm. Of course, part of me just wants to fanboy out, jump for joy, and claim the return of Sega of old. But if the last 20 years of Sega Sammy has taught me anything, just because it sounds awesome and has potential doesn't mean we will actually see anything come of it. These new remakes, or sequels, or whatever they end up being, are based on some of the most beloved Sega franchises to ever exist. It likely won't take much for many of you to become unhappy with any new design changes, particularly since some of these are going into fully three-dimensional engines for the very first time. And if anything has been a constant in our industry, moving two-dimensional gameplay into 3D is rarely a smooth transition. I have read that Sega has employed some of the people that were involved with the original projects, such as Jet Set Radio, and that there is very good news. At least Sega is acknowledging the power of their IP this time and seems to be putting some serious focus on making these games the best they can be. It will be telling to discover what companies are developing these titles, which platforms they will be available for, and whether or not they will be released physically. We have so little information at this point, it's difficult to really talk about anything in terms of specifics. On a similar note, Sega has also mentioned looking at Virtua Fighter again for a possible update. With Virtua Fighter 3 Team Battle Arcade showing up in Japan, Sega seems keen on ramping up hype for fans of that series.
Virtua Fighter 3 TV Online 11月28日より全国稼働開始
A number of people have been questioning why I didn't react to this announcement immediately, why I waited to share my thoughts and feelings. Honestly, I didn't feel there was much to go on. There is no question my curiosity has been piqued. Just what is Sega planning? What other games are in the works? Is this a new Sega Ages line? Does Sega secretly have a new console in the works? So many questions and so little in the way of answers. The only real recommendation I have here is to keep those expectations under control. Until we know more and have a fuller picture of what's to come, all of this may be a lot less exciting than it seems. According to the website Sega Bits, both Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio are being handled by the same division that deals with Phantasy Star Online 2, which is a games as a service division. Yeah, let that sink in a bit. In the meantime, try and keep your excitement in check. I'm sure we'll know more soon enough, and I'll be back then to speak on it some more. I'm Sega Lord X. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.